Hey everybody, what's up? I am Juan from Just One Reader, and this is another recent reads wrap up. I will be talking about the last three books that I read. This is not going to be a very positive batch of books, honestly. There are three books in here, and only one of them received a 3-star rating. The other two I just didn't care for, and they were not right for me. One of them was probably not the right book for me, period, just bad choosing. And the other one was maybe a good fit for me, but I just read it in a very bad moment. So it was an issue of timing as well. But yeah, this is what it is, and let's just face it. So the first book that I read that I think was just a bad choice for me, and I probably shouldn't have read it in the first place, but I really wanted to read it to try to expand my horizons and read something different for a change. Was the very beloved, very popular A Constellation of Vital Phenomena by Anthony Marra, who is an author that people love. And this novel in particular is a novel that people have been raving about forever, ever since it came out. So this tells the story of some characters who are affected by some kind of war or political conflict in Chechnya, I think it's how you pronounce it. There were many issues that I had with this book. Specifically, my ignorance when it comes to this political, historical information. I just have zero knowledge of these things, and I am very open to learning, and I am open to getting that information from nonfiction or fiction in this case. But it just didn't feel like a book that was teaching me or giving me something. It felt like I was not having access, or that I was not given access to the actual story. So I just felt very distant, and I really liked the beginning of the book because it centered more around the characters and what they were doing, and the way that they were living, and it was more of a personal story about the characters. But then the author really lost me, and I'm sure this is a phenomenal novel, but it was just not meant for me. So in the end, I gave it 2 stars, because I would have felt very bad giving it just 1 star, because I can recognize that the book has merit, but I could not give it more than 2 stars because it was just not for me at all. So I'm sorry, but I'm not sorry. Then the second book that I want to talk to you guys about today is a book that I was very excited about, and I ended up giving it 1 star. And I actually think this might be the worst book that I have read so far in 2017. This is a big statement to be making right now, but I was so disappointed, so bored out of my mind. I was just not impressed. Slate House by David Mitchell. And like I said at the beginning of the video, I can very well admit the timing was bad. The timing was off. I am pretty sure that maybe one day in a couple of years I will revisit this book and give it a second chance, give myself a second chance with it, and I will probably enjoy it and give it like a good 3-4 stars. But right now, in this particular moment, or back when I read it, I was not impressed. Basically, this is in very David Mitchell-esque fashion. It's a collection of stories or novellas tied up in a sort of interwoven narrative, which results in a novel, which is kind of a composition of separate novellas that are interconnected, which is what he usually does in his other books. And this one is a sort of companion piece, or at least it's very, it has a lot to do with his other book that I read this year and really enjoyed, The Bone Clocks. And also, I was really excited because this is a haunted house story, a spooky kind of read, and in general, people had been liking this book, and I had seen a lot of really positive reviews. Not amazing reviews, but fairly positive, very good reviews. So I went in and I read the first story, and I thought it was pretty okay. Like, it was not surprising. There was nothing in the writing or in the characters or in the story itself that really dazzled me. But, it was a fun little story. And then I read the second one, and it was pretty much the same thing. Just, I mean, some changes obviously happened, but it was like just another episode of something very similar that happened. And then I read the third one, and then the same thing happened. And so, I don't know, I started to get very irritated. I was very annoyed at the book, and I did not really pay it the attention at the end. I didn't really pay a lot of attention. I was just kind of done with it, and I just wanted to be done with it to read the next book in my TBR. So I ended up giving it 1 star. It was not a good experience for me. I found it incredibly episodical. That's what it was. It was very episodical. I was able to find the connections between this and the Bone Clocks, but honestly, so I think it's fairly hard. It's very hard to talk about this book without talking about the Bone Clocks. I will just say one thing, and this is not a spoiler. There's a big part of the Bone Clocks that has a very fantastical, a very strong, a very heavy fantastical plot, or at least subplot, or a part of a plot that is very fantastical and magical and weird and bizarre. Some people hate that, some people like it. I was kind of okay with it. I didn't hate it, but I didn't find it very interesting, and I found it kind of a little bit annoying in the Bone Clocks, but it was okay. It was tolerable, and overall, like I said, I really liked the Bone Clocks. But then this book kind of uses that fantastical, slightly annoying, slightly irritating, weird premise from the Bone Clocks, and that's what it uses really to explore what happens in the story in Slate House. So I was expecting to find more connections between these and the Bone Clocks, but when I figured out that the only real connection between these and the Bone Clocks was that part that I didn't even really like very much about the Bone Clocks in the first place, I was very disappointed. So yeah, I will probably pick this up again sometime in the future and give it another shot, because right now I just look at the book and I'm very irritated, very frustrated, very disappointed. So yeah, let me know if you've read it. What was your experience? Because I'm probably biased by all my frustration. Anyway, the third and last book that I want to discuss with you today is a book that I actually enjoyed. I gave it 3 stars, a solid 3 stars. I enjoyed it. I think this book is very provocative. I think this book is very eye-opening and very interesting thematically. However, it was not an enjoyable reading experience, which is not the case for every book that I read, but it is important to me to have a fun, or if not fun, at least enjoyable reading experience. There are some books that you suffer through, but they are enjoyable, like, I don't know, Giovanni's Room, or Disgrace, or Fates and Furies, which are not exactly enjoyable, fun reads, but they are just, you enjoy reading them even if you suffer or feel negative emotions. But this book, which, by the way, I haven't said what it is. It's Under the Skin by Michel Faber. I gave it 3 stars because, like I said, I did not really enjoy reading it. I was not invested in the story, but thinking about the book is something that I really enjoy, and something that I am finding myself doing constantly. I am really thinking about this book and its themes and its exploration of kindness and compassion and humanity. And it's a very weird book, and it's very difficult to talk about it without spoiling the what it is about. So if you want to know what this book is about without spoilers, suffice it to say that it's about this protagonist, for lack of a better word, called Iserly or Iserly. I don't know how to pronounce it. And what she does is she entices and seduces hitchhikers that she picks up from her car, or in her, I don't know if it's a car or a truck or what, I don't remember, but she picks them up, these hitchhikers, male hitchhikers, seduces them, and then takes them back to somewhere, a place. I really don't want to reveal anything. And weird stuff happens. That's pretty much the basic premise. Now, there is a movie adaptation of this book with Scarlett Johansson, which I have never seen. I am going to watch it probably this weekend, and I'm really excited because I'm hearing that the movie is one of the best movies that have come out in recent, like the last decade or something. Like, people say that it's a fantastic film, but that it is very different to the novel. So I really want to know what that is, and why that is. So like I said, I really enjoyed thinking about the themes and what the book explores. I thought it was incredibly important, a very relevant novel. There's a lot of things that Michel Faber touches on and explores that are just amazing. And the way that he does it, the way that he creates this kind of weird story to talk about those things, I loved it. But I never really cared for his writing style. Not that it's bad or that I disliked it, I just never cared for it. I never cared for the pacing. I never really cared about the protagonist or the other characters. I never felt immersed or sucked in. So it was a very hard book to read, because when I was not reading it, I did not feel compelled to pick it up again. But when I did read it, I liked it. And now that I am done with it and I gave it 3 stars, I am constantly thinking about it, and about all these issues and the way that he addressed those issues. So that was Under the Skin by Michel Faber, 3 stars. And that is all that I have to say today in this recent reads wrap up. Please let me know in the comments down below whatever pops into your head, and we'll talk about it. I am Just One Reader, and I will see you next time.